Welcome to the Dr. Amy Adesanya podcast. I have various U.S. and international accounting and tax designations, a master's in tax, and a PhD in business administration with a concentration in finance and accounting. Over the past 2 decades, I have helped several SMEs succeed. This podcast will provide strategies and resources to help startups and existing businesses thrive. Let's get started. Over the past 2 decades, I have helped several SMEs succeed. This podcast will provide strategies and resources to help startups and existing businesses thrive. Let's get started.
Hello everyone, I am looking at for the echo. I'm just trying to get that out of the way. Okay, I think we're good now. Yes. Yeah, it's trying to, we love technology, we know that, but sometimes things happen. So yeah, sorry about that. So very excited again. Hello everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the live show today. Again, the Amy Adesanya podcast. I know we're finalizing the podcast on the podcast channel, but that's why I said that this will also be live. So I want to say thank you to everyone who has actually tuned in, comments, they have just been so wonderful in making this program better and better and better. So I'm very, very excited right now and just wanted to appreciate everyone that has made this really wonderful. So today, I just want to even give another interesting topic. I know that every topic, as I try my best to, speak about, is interesting. Again, the goal is to make sure that every SME, that any SME owner, which is the small and medium-sized enterprise, or some people call it business, that they thrive, they do well. We're not just talking about just existing as a company, just existing, just surviving, but just making sure that every business and every SME thrives. All right. Now, I'm going to speak about a specific deduction here in the US, and I want to encourage everybody out there in different countries, right, that's listening to this channel or this program, to make sure you're digging in. When I say digging, make sure you seek information to see what is available out there for you, right? What is available out there for you? What are the deductions, the benefits out there? I've said this before, but I will reiterate it. Small and medium-sized enterprises are the bedrock of many countries' economy. They're the bedrock. And so because of that, many legislature, governments, they enact legislation that will benefit small businesses, but medium-sized enterprises, depending on what you want to call it, but it means basically the same thing. Of course, there are different criteria depending on the country. You might say small business is different. The criteria is different in the US than in England or in, Africa, or, North America, South America. It's different, but it's still small business, right? And so many small businesses, many countries rely on small businesses as the bedrock of the economy. All right. So go out there and look at what applies to you. Now, today I'm speaking about one of the beautiful benefits that apply in small businesses. Now, I know that a lot of small businesses, small and medium-sized enterprises, a lot of them have, they've asked questions on, how do I retain staff? How do I, how do I make them happy? And I spoke before about this, and I said that you have to make sure that your staff knows that, you appreciate them, things, you put things in place that that will gratify your staff. People, sometimes they focus on what is wrong. People don't say, oh, you know what? Thank you for doing this right, before I talk about, okay, but you could do this better. but it's always negative feedback, right? So this is one of the areas where you can actually say, you know what, I want to do something for my staff. And a lot of small businesses, they are also employees of their business. So this also applies to you as an employee. Okay, so I'm going to talk about a deduction. We call it Section 127, but it's a fringe benefit, educational fringe benefit, right, for employees that employers can provide to employees. So it's Section 127, but again, I always tell people when I'm speaking, I don't want to get too technical because this is not an accounting class, a tax class. It's just a platform where I can share information that will benefit small businesses. And I mean, this is for all businesses. So this what I'm going to talk about is for all businesses, but I really want to zero in on small businesses and SMEs because so many of them don't know these benefits exist. Okay, so when I talk about Section 127 educational assistance, what happens is that you can actually pay fees for an employee, pay school fees for an employee. That's what it's all about. You can pay, and what is unique about this is that you can, when you pay the school fees, is deductible, is a tax deduction to your company, but it's not taxable to the employee. I hope that makes sense, right? It's a tax deduction to you to calculate your profit, but the beauty of it is that it's not classified as income to your employee. That means even if you are the employee, it also applies to you. So that's beautiful, right? Of course, I'm going to talk about some conditions that apply. And of course, we're not really going to go to the intricacies, but I just want to make sure you understand this. Oh, I thought I had muted my phone. Okay, I'm going to do that. So sorry about that. And so the very first one, I mean, the amount, the threshold is $5,250. $5,250 US dollars. You can pay each employee up to $5,250 towards their education. The beauty of this is that, somebody's working for you, you can do that, you can pay, but there's also something additional, which I'm going to get into. But before we even talk about the additional, about paying the fees, there's some conditions that must apply, okay? Now, a lot of small businesses or a lot of medium-sized SMEs, they take it for granted that, oh yeah, this law exists, I can take advantage of it, great. But there's some specifics that apply. Number one, you have to have a written educational plan. You have to have a written educational plan. Okay, you have to say, okay, this is the plan we have for staff, for employees. This is what we're going to do. There has to be a written plan. All right, there has to be a written plan. Okay, so that is number one. A lot of small businesses, medium-sized enterprises, they do things without actually writing it down as a policy. So please, yes, we get so excited. I'm very excited too about this. So, yep, very excited. But make sure there's a written plan that this is what my company is doing, right? This is the written plan that there's going to be an education, there's going to be educational reimbursement or payment, or for this particular for this company. So please make sure it's written. Remember, I said there are some conditions that apply. The next one is that, right, you cannot say that, you know what, I'm going to give the person cash instead. Cash. You cannot say I'm going to give the person cash instead. This cannot be cash. It has to be educational. Now, do not take this for granted. Make sure that what I'm talking about is documented, right? Somebody might say, I went to school and I'm doing this. Make sure it's documented. Make sure you have some support, substantiation. What is it, from the school? Make sure you have something to support. People get so worried when auditors come, tax auditors come, and internal revenue, here it's called Internal Revenue Service. revenue service in different countries, have different names in different countries. Now, in the United States, called internal revenue service, they audit, they come to audit and say, are you compliant? Now, honestly, if you know you're compliant, you just have to have a big smile on your face, because you've dotted your I's and crossed your T's. All right. So make sure you have substantiation that this is really educational expenses. Okay. Then, of course, as I said, it should not exceed $5,250. Now, if it's more than that, of course, it's taxable. Okay. And then, of course, what I'm just saying, let all the employees know this is what we do, right? If you're the only employee, okay, fine, right? But let all the employees know. And then also, it's very important that you don't discriminate. When you talk about discrimination, people think of all kinds of things, discrimination, gender, height, or whatever, all kinds of, the discrimination we're talking about here is highly compensated employees. Now, we call it HCE. What is HCE? Now, when we're looking at highly compensated employees, we look at the ownership. What percentage of the company is owned by that, to see if that person is a highly compensated employee. And we also look at how much that person earns. The amount usually changes every year. Some people will say, oh, okay, for me, I am going to do employee, I'm going to benefit from the tax-free payment of the $5,250, but that employer they're not going to benefit from that, right? So that is what we look at, Internal Revenue Service looks at. Is there any discrimination when it comes to, the highly compensated employees compared to the rest? All right. So, of course, there might be some policy in place that might say, okay, you have to work for a certain number of years. It could be any policy within the company. That's fine. As long as it's not something special for someone that owns the company or is highly compensated. Of course, and again, there's the definition changes with the amount changes over usually yearly. So I hope you've gotten those points. We can break it down further, but just note those points. Now, the great thing, and I remember I said I was going to share something later. Okay, this is the later. Now, what happened is that we know with COVID and everything, COVID, well, there was something that was set in place under the CARES Act. The CARES Act is just one of the laws. So don't go worry about what act or what, but I just want to mention it there. Now, what happens is that, now the $5,250 can actually be applied, right, to loans. Somebody has a school loan. The government allows you to apply $5,250 to the school loan, to somebody's loan. Yes, it's allowed now. It came up with the CARES Act, which is the act that happened during COVID. And then before it was up to 2020, but now they extended it for 5 years. So this is 2023. So it's up to 2025 December. It was 5 years when they extended it, but up to 2025 December, 31st of December, you can do that for employees. Say, you know what? I'll pay for your loan. I'll pay up to $5,250 for your student loan. The great thing about that amount is not taxable to you. It's not taxable to you. So when I say to you, that means to the employee. Of course, to the company, is not taxable. Now, there's some caveats. This is specifically for employees, right? It's not for spouse, it's not for dependents. It could even be for people that are like current and laid off staff. But I want to say, when I say it's not for spouses, if your spouse works for you as an employee, please, if the spouse does not work for you as an employee, then the person doesn't qualify. But if the spouse is an employee, the person, as long as the person is an employee, remember, there is no discrimination there's no HCE, highly compensated employee discrimination. All right. So this is really, really huge. Now, in addition to that, you might say, what about if the school, now we're going back to the school, is not really job related? Yes, that actually applies. Now, it's really very important for you to dive deep And of course, if you don't have an accountant, we can always work with you in my practice. But it's something you should set up, because if somebody, you're looking for someone to work with you or work for you, and you can actually say, you know what, I'm going to pay an amount from your school loan, like out of your school loan interest, I'm going to pay this amount for you. I mean, I would be very happy. I would be very happy. A lot of SMEs don't even know this exists, right? I would be very happy. I said, really, you're going to pay? It's way to drive an employee to actually stay with you. There are so many benefits out there. Now, let's also note that the 5,250 actually also, what you might say, what is really inside this 5,250? What makes up the 5,250, right? What should be included? Of course, just the school fees. There's some equipment that is required for the school. There are some, supplies, of course, books, but you have to be very careful when you're looking at the receipts, or when you're looking at the payment, what you're paying. Accommodation is excluded. I hope we can hear that. Accommodation is excluded, right? So when you're talking about the 5,250, make sure that you're looking at what is included in that receipt. What is included when the statement comes from the school, maybe you're working with the school, statement comes from the school, make sure accommodation is not part of that, because that is not included. And I get it. Sometimes people say, why? But I get it. I get why it's not included, because I can choose to live in a penthouse and go to school, and somebody can choose to live in a one-room apartment and go to school, right? So where's the standard? Where's the criteria? If you say lodging is included, are you going to pay for the person in the penthouse, or how are you going to look at that? So I get it. I try to make sense out of some of the, I know law, you don't really, when it comes to things like that, but from my understanding, I try to make sense out of it, because it helps me to comprehend and say, okay, this might be the reason why the government said, or the legislature said, nope, lodging is not included. Okay, so please, take advantage of this. Take advantage of this this education. They call it fringe benefit, but take advantage. Honestly, even for yourself, if your kids work for you, please go ahead. Go ahead. I just said again, document. Make sure that it's substantiated. Make sure all the rules, all the policies are followed, written, everything that is in place for you to, enjoy this benefit. We don't want the kind that, an SME gets so excited and picks up and, applies this benefit, but does not that the person or the SME did not follow the criteria. We don't want that to happen. That's why I said this is general. Of course, whatever I speak is for educational purposes, but it's good to work with someone that can really put those policies in place. All right. Again, make sure you substantiate, make sure you're checking the expenses, make sure that you're looking at it. If you're not the one doing it, make sure there's a check, so that when you see the breakdown, sometimes some schools even send you everything, send you a receipt for everything, right? This is what the school fees are. Ask for a breakdown. Ask for a breakdown. Say, thank you for this. I want the breakdown, right? And so this really great. All right. So I also want to emphasize there are so many. This is just one of them, the fringe benefit of educational reimbursement or payment. Beautiful, because again, it's not taxable to the employee, and it's deductible to the employer. Give somebody that $5,000 in the person's pocket, but you don't tax it. So it's beautiful. Because why I'm saying it's so awesome, because in tax, right? Most of the time, anything you receive, right, is taxable. Of course, unless that there's some exceptions out there, but usually taxable, right? Anything you receive is usually taxable, unless again, there are some exceptions in the tax law, right? Any income received is taxable. So if you have $5,000 in interest, and all of a sudden someone says, don't worry, I'm going to pay it. Usually that's a taxable, because if that money wasn't coming from that payment from somebody, that money would have come from your pocket. So it's like somebody saying, you know what, put that money back in your pocket. I'm going to pay your interest, right? Put the money, don't worry about it. I'm going to take care of it. So in cases like that, that would have actually been income. But because of this section 127, which is beautiful, right? Which was amended, which was added on with the CARES Act and then the CAA, the Consolidated Appropriation Act. Again, I just wanted to mention it there. Don't worry about it, but just wanted to mention it. Because of that, there's that benefit up to 2025 of the additional paying of the loan, right? Now, please, it's either or. You're not paying for both sides of the coin, okay? Okay, just wanted to make sure. And of course, if you're not clear, talk to your accountant, your CPA, or reach out to our firm. We'll work out and explain everything to you and make sure you get the benefit. And I also wanted to add that there are so many, I mentioned this before, but I want to reiterate that there are so many benefits out there like that. There are so many benefits, fringe benefits that you can actually give your clients, your employees. Look, I'm thinking of clients as a CPA. I'm thinking of clients, but I'm talking about employees. And remember, you can make yourself an employee, right? Remember, but you have to be very careful because it depends on the tax structure or the legal structure. Corporations pay their employees, but LLCs that are not elected to be corporations don't. So make sure you know, when I say employee, that means it pay you as an employee. Of course, you can pay your employee, but if you are employee, it doesn't work with all the partnership, sole proprietorship, right? Just wanted to make sure I put it out there. So again, if you're an employee, go ahead and take all the benefit, make sure that you benefit from that, and make sure that there are written policies in place, okay? And also any other benefit, look at fringe benefits that apply and make sure you take advantage of that. There are so many fringe benefits out there for employees that are not taxable. The word is what? Not taxable. That's the word. Not what? Taxable. We don't taxable, just like you're putting more money in your employees' pockets. That is the great thing. Putting more money in your employees' pocket. A lot of big companies, a lot of multinationals, conglomerates, they know this already, right? They know this already. But many SMEs, they're not aware of these benefits, right? Of course, these benefits are usually deductible by the company. You can deduct it to calculate your profit. But usually, if certain criterion, if they are not followed, becomes taxable to the employee, and you don't want that. The goal is that make your employee what? Make your employee happy. Make your employee happy, and guess what? An employee is happy, you'll be happy, right? Because your employee stays with you. You don't have to retrain. I mentioned this in one of my episodes. I talked about how expensive it is to lose an employee. I mentioned that. If you haven't watched it, please go ahead and look for that episode and watch it, because the downtime is a cost to your company if an employee leaves you. The training time of a new employee is a cost to your company. The background check and all those stuff to bring the employee in is a cost to your company. So you really, really want to make sure that you know that there's a way to actually retain employees by offering them these kind of beautiful benefits, right? And also, again, if your employee is yourself, is your employee is your spouse, your child, or your children, they can also benefit from these, right? These fringe benefits that are not taxable to them. But again, work with an accountant to make sure you look at them and make sure that you implement what is required so that they will all benefit from that. All right. Okay. Now, usually I bring somebody in, but last minute, the person could not make it. Something happened, and the person was not able to make it. But that's fine. Stuff happens. So, but next week, I will back to having a guest on the program, right? I will have a guest. And of course, if you really want to be here to speak about any of your challenges, please make sure you go to my website and just send an email. And of course, the website explains to you how to send your questions or appear on the program. All right. So hopefully I've been able to share something that is awesome and very important. And I have to also say this here, tax evasion and tax avoidance. There was an episode on that, but please make sure that when you're looking at all these fringe benefits, you make sure that you're authorized to take them. A lot of times, so many people throw things on the internet, right? Anybody, the internet is sometimes about opinion. People put their opinion, you think it's, oh, wow, that's how it's to go, how I should do my stuff, or that's how I should go about it. If it's not from an authoritative source, please do not just run with it. A lot of people have gotten in trouble because they just went with the internet and followed anybody that posts anything. Make sure it's in a form, an authoritative source. And that's why I said, work with an accountant. If you don't have an accountant, of course, we're here. So make sure you work with an accountant that actually knows what he or she is doing so that they will direct you properly, right? There are so many benefits out there. You want to benefit or you want to claim all those benefits, but in a proper way. Okay. All right. So let's jump into our questions. And again, I'm sure I mentioned that make sure wherever you are in the world listening to this, make sure that you're looking at your country, looking at those codes, work with an accountant to dig up. I would say dig is just like sometimes you think it's buried, but yes, you don't know it. So to make sure it's not only in the US, as I mentioned, please make sure you benefit from wherever you are and look for those benefits that apply to your SME or your small business or your medium-sized business. All right. Okay, so let's look at questions. All right. All right. The first question I have is that I struggle with healthcare expenses for my staff. How do I handle this? First of all, I want to say kudos to you. You know why I'm saying kudos? For a boss to be a business owner to be concerned about their staff's well-being, I say kudos. Some people don't really care they just want the work the work done, right? But this business owner is actually concerned about the healthcare expenses for their staff. Now, some small businesses, some SMEs, they can't afford to put their staff on medical. It's possible they can't. Some of them cannot. It's possible that they cannot. But for the person to actually sit down and say, you know what can I do? I'm really saying kudos. I'm actually giving a round of applause, please. I really love people that are concerned about other people, right? So that's awesome. Now, even if you can't afford, to put your staff on a health plan, there's something called the HSA, the health spending account. I want you to look into that. There's HSA, there's even FSA, flexible spending account. There are some accounts, these accounts that you can put in place for them. For example, assuming that they actually get there are some health insurances that are out there. And if it's some people actually have that for themselves, right? Some of these health insurance actually have deductible that you go to see a dentist, you have to pay for it. Deductible, you go and see a doctor, you have to pay a deductible. Now, if that's the case, right, you can actually tell them that, you know what, I have an HSA and or FSA. The beauty of these is that the HSA allows you to spend pre-tax, not after-tax money, allows your staff to be able to spend pre-tax money on medical. Now, the people are already doing that. Of course, when you go to see the doctor and there's deductible, what do? You swipe your card, you pay for that deductible. But usually, because people don't know about this HSA and FSA, they pay after tax. Remember, when you get your salaries after tax, and they pay with that. But if you have this account for your staff, what happens that amount is not taxed as long as what? As long as they spend it on the medical. Not that they will have that amount set aside and they use it to travel for vacation, then that becomes taxable. But if they have that HSA and they said, yes, I spent it because on my deductible, that's a beauty. That's wonderful, because that amount is not taxable. So one of the things you can set in place for your staff is the FSA or HSA account, health savings account, or flexible savings account. There are two different accounts, but and they have different. You can still spend it, as I said, on medical, but they have different ways. You look at what works best for you. And because today I'm not talking about FSA and HSA, the difference, but okay, let me just highlight one or two. One of them is that the HSA can grow tax-free. You can roll it over and it can grow tax-free. So somebody might put an HSA down and pre-tax, right? And because it's pre-tax, they didn't use everything. So that amount can be rolled over. And if there's any growth, that growth is not taxable. But the FSA is use it or lose it, right? That means that by the end of the year, you lose it. So it depends on what works. There are different criteria, but I just wanted to say as one of them, that, a lot of people will say, you know what, I don't want the other one. I want this one. I want the other. It depends. There's also a threshold amount. So look into everything and see what works. But I really want to commend, you for saying that, you struggle with healthcare expenses for your staff. That means you really want to do right by your staff. You want to do something great for them, right? And let me tell you, if you're concerned about your staff will be concerned about you. I know people during this COVID season, when people were just the COVID that, when I say this, was very terrible. And I think, in the 2020 was really bad. And some staff say, no matter what, I'm not leaving my employer. I'm not leaving my employer no matter what. I'm going to stick by this, my employer. And it's not like they were paid anything extra. It's like, there are areas that they were struggling, but the company was struggling, but the employee said, nope, I'm not going anywhere. And you ask yourself, why? Why does an employee say, you know what, I know it's tough, but I'm going to hang in there. I might have to pick up some things here and there, some other opportunities here and there to do it part-time or on the side, but I want to stick with this person. And it's an SME. It's not like it's a conglomerate or a multinational. It's a small business, right? That means there's something about the business owner. There's something about that business owner that employees appreciate. All right. So hopefully we're one of those employers that can do that can be like that, those employers that really care about their employees. All right. Okay. The second question is that I started a side hustle last year and I'm doing pretty well. Do I quit my day job? I think a question like this came up before. I think I've seen something like this. So do I quit my day job? Well, first of all, I like saying kudos. Kudos to every company that is doing well. Side hustle doing well. Kudos. Thank you for putting in the work. Thank you so much for doing this. So awesome. Yes, for your side hustle doing well. But let me say that when you say pretty well, I don't know what that means. What does pretty well really, really mean? Pretty well. So are you able to cover all your bills? What is pretty well? So quitting your job, some people do it on the side and wait until they reach a certain threshold in revenue before they quit their job. So I won't say yes or no. I just feel I would say sit back and see, is this business, has it got to the level of being sustainable? Is it that it can cover all my bills to a certain extent? Right? Because I know people that even though they have this side hustle, they have something part-time for now. They decided to quit the full-time job, but they're having they have their part-time job to complement this their side hustle. So some people risk it and say, well, I'm going to put it all out there and quit my day job. If you feel that that's what you want to do, well, you have to decide on that. I'm not saying that you should do that. And I'm not saying you should not do that. It's up to you, because if you say pretty well, I don't know what it means by pretty well. I don't know what that means. Is that because I mean, quantified in figures, it's not listed, the amount is not here. So I mean, I don't expect you to put your amount here, but when you say pretty well, I don't know what that really means. Okay, so quitting your day job, that decision is up to you, right? It's up to you to decide that. But I would say look at the pros and cons, and make sure that what you're making can cover your expenses substantially, right? So if not, really sit back and wait, right? But again, it's definitely up to you. Okay. But again, kudos. I love that. Started a side hustle last year and I'm doing pretty well. Love that. Love that. Love that. Love that. All right. The next question. I sell cosmetics and I have used my inventory system for 10 years. Okay. It works well. I'm thinking of updating the system. Should I do that or leave it as is? I mean, I'm thinking that you're talking about technology here. And okay, inventory system for 10 years. I'm surprised that it's working that well, because technology changes so rapidly. So I would say that I'm not going to say you should leave it as is. I'm going to say because pretty well. This one is not actually said it's not. They didn't use pretty here. It works well. So I'm not. I mean, if something inventory systems that have been, I don't know. Again, I believe it's technology you're talking about. Technology of 10 years. I mean, I know that even depreciation, when we talk about technology, I think some of our technology, based on the IRS guidelines, some of them depreciated within 3 years. So 10 years for an inventory system, I don't believe that is really at par. I would not say, I mean, again, I'm not seeing your inventory system right now, but I'm just talking about general knowledge that when something and when a system has been in place for 10 years, I would strongly feel that you should really look into if it's working up to the standard that you're looking to when it comes to your let's see, when it comes to its efficiency. I would say efficiency, because selling cosmetics and using an inventory system for 10 years, I believe I have to, this is just a general response, but 10 years computer system, I would say, please really check that out. See look at how updating it, how much it will cost, and what are some of the things that you don't have in this specific inventory system. The reason I'm saying this is because technology, I mean, look at our phones. We see iPhones, Android changing all the time. And when you look at anytime I'm not someone that will personally, that's me. I don't really change phones every year personally. So I would say that when you change even phones, it gets better. Now, and even beyond this inventory, let me talk generally about small businesses. Please make sure you're looking at your technology to see if you're more efficient. Make sure you're looking at your technology to see if it's really efficient. When I say more efficient, if there's something out there that makes you more efficient, right? There's so many, I know that for inventory systems, for example, I know there's just-in-time inventory system that actually reduces storage space. JIT, just-in-time, allows you to get the orders and not really store. You just get the orders, get it out as soon as possible. So it's called JIT. So, and then of course that when you have JIT, just in time, looking at inventory now, there's so many other areas, but just in time, what does that do? You don't have to have a lot of storage space. So it actually saves you money. It actually saves you money. So you have to really make sure that you're looking at your general inventory system and really analyze it with new technology, because I really think 10 years technology is really old for a small business. All right. To grow, you have to go with technology. Efficiency needs good technology, right? You don't have to spend so much. Look at, if you're really trying to update, really look at the cost benefit analysis. You might not need something that has so many gadgets, to fix what to make it you better. You might say, okay, I would like to be efficient in this area and this area. Look for an inventory management system that actually focuses on improving those areas, two of those specific areas. Okay, so I would say, it's 10 years is really, really, really long for having a system. I'm thinking that you're saying a computer system, okay? Inventory system. I'm looking at, I think you're saying a computer system, okay? All right, now the next question is, do I need to get an MBA to succeed as an entrepreneur? Okay, do I need to get an MBA to succeed as an entrepreneur? Well, let me start by saying that no. First of all, no, you don't need that. But because to succeed as an entrepreneur, you don't need to get an MBA, right? But if you get one, it's not a bad idea. Or if you have somebody that has an MBA or has business acumen, right, to work with you, that's not also a bad idea. Because I know people that have that passion, but they need someone to really set up that, help them to streamline the business, and they get someone that has either a business background on MBA or something in that area. So you do not need an MBA to succeed as an entrepreneur. I have to say that again and again. You do not need an MBA to succeed as an entrepreneur, but know that knowledge is power. Make sure you continue to educate yourself. I mean, whenever I come on is education, right? Telling you about things, right? And as personally, I continue to educate myself. I like knowledge. I like to learn about things and look at what is the new trend in business. It helps me, and it also helps my clients, right? So it's so important for you to seek knowledge. MBA, it's not that it's a bad idea, but it's not only MBA. You can actually look for other ways of educating yourself to do well in your business. You can also have someone that works for you that is very good in making your business more efficient. There's always room for improvement. There's always room for improvement. It's not about you having that MBA, but look for opportunities and knowledge base to make your business more efficient. All right, connect with people is important. So again, you do not need an MBA to succeed as an entrepreneur. All right. So yes, I believe we don't have so much time, but it's been wonderful today again, just sharing, again, making sure that I let you know how to benefit from as many fringe benefits as possible, claim them, and enjoy those benefits. All right, it's very important. And I'm hoping that even these questions that I've been able to answer has also been beneficial. Care about your staff, make sure you care about them, and also look at the benefits that are out there for you personally, right, as an employee of your business. Okay, and of course, as I said, employ your family members is huge. That even the Internal Revenue Service actually gives additional benefits, waivers like in taxes. Of course, conditions apply for employing your family members, so that they can also benefit from these fringe benefits, all right, that are available out there. All right, so very nice seeing everybody today or being here today. I'll be here next week with another interesting and exciting topic. Again, if you want to appear on this show, if you want to send your questions, please go to my website and send the questions. And of course, if you don't know how to get to the website, please sit back and listen to the closing message. And then, of course, subscribe to the channel. We have some newsletters coming on and things like that during the year. All right, and onwards. Okay, have a nice one. Bye for now. Take care.
Thanks for having me. Remember to join my live podcast on Tuesdays, 6 to 6:45 p.m. Central Standard Time. Visit my website, driniadesnia.com, for details. Till next time, bye for now.